Hey guys, Dwayne here. Today I want to talk a little bit about parenting, co-parenting and parenting with a narcissist. And this particular topic is going to be about teachers. Kids are going back to school. You know, some of you may have already, your kids may have already started. Mine are actually getting ready to go back next week. And you know, if you've already realized what you're dealing with, and you know, let's say in past years, you've already done this, right? You've already beat your head against the wall trying to coordinate, trying to co-parent, trying to make sure that you guys are working together for the good of your kids, and you know it's just not happening. It didn't happen in the past, and you know you're probably dreading it because you're thinking, okay, great, this is coming up again. How am I going to deal with it? Well, in this particular segment, I want to talk a little bit about coordinating with the teachers. We talked a little bit in a previous video about parallel parenting, which unfortunately that's what this really is. So that's why this is kind of like, you know, parenting with a narcissist series is what I'm trying to do here. Anyways, so so we've already established that you really are not going to be able to co-parent with your narcissistic ex. It isn't going to happen. You probably already beat your head against the wall, like I've already talked about previously in this video and in other videos. And you know, so you need some tools and techniques to, you know, help you start the school year right and, you know, minimize the problems you are going to have. Now, primarily this is going to be in the context of a 50-50 scenario where both of you are equally involved. But as long as you are somewhat involved, then I think this still pertains. I mean, if you're been relegated into a situation where you're really only a weekend, you know, parent, then it makes it a lot harder because you really don't have the time to really engage and do anything. And we'll talk about that in a different video. Okay, so now here's the thing. Here's the problem, or the balance, right? If you go in and you talk to the teacher and you say, "Hey, Mr. Smith, I need to pull you aside, and you know, I just need to let you know that you know, Susie's mom or Susie's dad is nuts," you know, and they're going to go, "Oh God, you know, great, I'm dealing with one of these," and they'll be like, "Oh, you know, it's so nice to talk to you." So you kind of have to be careful how you engage with it, and they're going to have to figure it out on their own as well. And you know, if you're in a situation where, let's say you're doing therapy with the kids, and you know you have some other ways to engage, then that's helpful, right? And that's kind of the approach I used. I went in, I'm like, "Hey, you know, Susie," we'll just stick with the Susie name. "Susie's been having some problems. You know, we've had a really, you know, contentious divorce. It's been really hard on the kids. Susie's really having an issue with it. You know, so there's kind of a reoccurring problem where information isn't shared. And, you know, if you could get either, you know, give us both copies or get me copies and I'll share it. But, you know, if you directly communicate with the other parent, you know, nothing is going to be done." Now, I mean, it's a really dicey area because depending on how you communicate that, it's like you may, you know, you're basically putting the teacher in it, but but here's the thing, you need them to understand what's going on. You need them to understand what's going on early on in the process. So for example, and you may have already dealt with this, and I had mentioned this in a previous story where a teacher was having issues. Notes were being sent home, and I didn't get them, and I was taking my daughter to therapy, and I came to grab her out of school because of the way the schedule was. And you know, have you ever noticed that therapists, like, they work like banker hours? It's like, you know, how come they can't work from like 6 to 9 after work? Anyways, or on weekends. Weekends would be good. So a teacher called me in and said, "Hey, I need to talk to you." She pulled me outside and she's like, "Look, you know, we're having all kinds of problems. She's disruptive. She's not doing his work. You know, I've been trying to send notes home." And I'm like, "Look, I haven't got anything." So you have to, okay, so the first issue is if they don't understand it, they're going to think everything's normal and that the parent's looking and they're trying to do their part. But if one person isn't doing anything, then it really complicates it, because just nothing is getting done. So establishing a communication and a relationship with your kid's teacher is really important, because you can develop the those communication lines to make sure the information is flowing. Now, one of the ways I also use it is, that we got to the point where my daughter was having enough problems where they were doing weekly progress reports, weekly homework list, and guys, just know, the list is going to go, it's like, if you don't get the list and it goes to one house, and if you're in one of these situations where the other parent really isn't involved, nothing's going to happen with it. They're not going to look at it. They're not going to make your kid do their homework. More than likely what will happen is, Susie, have you done your homework today? And Susie will go, oh, of course, I've done all my homework. Okay, and they don't check. And then, you have your kids and you ask Susie, have you done your homework? And she goes, oh, yes. And it's like, okay, can you show it to me? And it's like, no, don't look in my backpack. No, don't look in it. It's that type of stuff. So that's, unfortunately, that's kind of the rhythm you get into. But if you develop a relationship with their teacher, and then you have that communication line whenever Susie's trying to tell you that they've done stuff, you can say, well, Susie, your teacher right here says in the book that you haven't. Or if you can, you try to interact with the teacher on a regular basis to where you can just ask that question right there. Guys, it is not fun. It's not pleasant. Your kid's going to be mad. They're going to yell at you. You're going to get, I don't want to do homework with you. I want to do homework with mommy, or I want to do homework with daddy. And it's they're not necessarily doing it on purpose, but what's happening is they're sticking their nice little cute little finger right in your eye because you're trying everything to try to help them, and you're being sabotaged. And you unfortunately are the one who has to maintain the stability, the integrity, and the calmness to make progress on this. And it takes time. It is not going to, more than likely, it's not going to be you're going to start this up and boom, within a few days, it's all going to be dialed in. It ain't going to happen, right? Especially if you have a rotating custody schedule, to where in another video I talked about the Groundhog Day effect, where you have that, where it's just starting over and it's starting over and starting over. You just have to understand that, mentally prepare yourself for that, and just do the best you can. And some days it's going to be really hard. Days when you've had a really rough day at work, and you looked at your bank account and there's not enough money. And it's both cases. So like in my situation, so I'm the payer. To where, so I have money that's being taken out, no matter what I make, it's being taken out, unless I don't make anything, but that's a different story. And on the same side, right? If you're on the receiving side of this, receiving support money side, you probably have dealt with, not getting money. You can't really count on it. So you're kind of being emotionally deregulated on that. Anyways, I kind of, that'll be another topic. But establishing a relationship with the teacher early on is going to be really helpful. And more than likely, narcissists will show their true colors. Now, they're good at being chameleons. They're good at pretending, but they're not good at sustaining that. So you don't even necessarily have to go in and say, X did this, their mom did, won't do, and I'm not going to list a bunch of stuff. You know what it is. They don't do 1, they don't do 2, they don't do 3, they don't do 4, they don't do 5. Just say, look, here's a situation. Really contentious divorce. Our child's having a really hard time. There's zero communication with the ex. It just doesn't happen. If you send something to the other parent, it will never get to me. And, so you need to tell both of us. And at some point, they're going to start seeing who's telling the truth and who isn't. It totally is frustrating. It's not any fun. I know I keep saying that, but it is what it is. So let the other person, demonstrate themselves what they're doing. You can kind of give a little hint so that they understand, but you don't need to do a laundry list. you do that and it erases your credibility. And okay, so like for me as a dad, I mean, what's the stereotype? The stereotype is, deadbeat dad, not involved, just, disgruntled. He's mad because, whatever. I mean, right? That's a stereotype. That's a stereotype. So if you fall into that, and I did, I fell into saying things that, didn't help me. It made it look like, oh, okay, he's in this little box. There's the box. He's in the box. He's right there. Dink. And, and it's so don't fall into that, because it hurts your overall story. But establish a communication with the teacher. Hopefully, depending on where you're at, they have good email. Most of the teachers I've dealt with would ultimately share their telephone or their be able to text or email, stuff like that. I got to the point, I know I've mentioned this before, for like the progress report, and I'm like, look, just take a picture with your phone. Make sure you can see all four corners of the image. Take a picture and text it to me. Because, if any of you guys even have, there are all kinds of apps for all the different smartphones where you can take a picture of a document and turn it into like you scanned it. It works really well. And then I drop it into Evernote and I store everything, and whatever needs to go to mom, I send to her. And, but that's probably not going to be easy. Some teachers will be, you're going to have to develop that relationship with them. But that is key, especially starting out with school, to make sure that your kid has the best foundation that they can have starting school. Okay, so I'm going to wrap this up. If this video hit a chord, we've been having people put comments in the description. No, comments below. I'm getting confused there. So if you have, you have your own experience, put comments below. If you have another technique that has worked really well for you to get through that, add that down. There's been some dialogue back and forth where that stuff helps folks out. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you dislike this video, give it a thumbs down. If you don't like it, if you could let me know why, that would be great. If you want to give me a comment on how to improve anything, improve the channel, you can send me a note. If you follow the web link, you could even send me an email. And I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to try to make these videos a little bit quicker and a little bit more specific and not so long. So hopefully this is helping you guys out. Hopefully you guys can start the school year off with a good, solid foundation. And I think all this stuff will help calm you down and keep you, sane in all of this, which ultimately, guys, it helps your kids, because you give them that stability, the stability, and it keeps your stress levels down, and they can pick it up. They're like super detectors on being able to tell whenever you're not really happy. So, all right, I'm gonna wrap it up, and I hope you guys are having a good day, and I will talk to you on the next one. Take care. Bye.